It was a quiet Sunday afternoon in late October, the kind of day where the leaves scattered across the front yard in warm tones of amber and gold. David Miller sat in his recliner by the window, the fading sun casting a soft glow over the living room. He wasn't really watching the football game playing on the muted television screen. His mind wandered far from touchdowns and timeouts. The only sound that broke the stillness was the rhythmic ticking of the old clock hanging above the fireplace and the gentle voice of his daughter, Lily. "Mom will come soon, Dad," she said, her small hand resting on his knee. David looked down at his daughter. She was only 7, her dark blonde hair tied up in a ponytail, and her eyes, blue like her mother's, were filled with hope. That sentence had become something of a mantra in their home over the past few months. Every time Lily sensed the tension rising in her father, or when the silence between them grew too loud, she'd say it. A gentle promise, she believed with all her heart. He offered her a weak smile. "I hope so, sweetie." They hadn't heard from Emily in 3 months. No letters, no calls, no messages. At first, David thought it might have just been one of her impulsive getaways. She'd done that before when she felt overwhelmed. But she'd never been gone this long. And she had never left Lily behind. That was what scared him the most. The police said they were doing all they could. Her car was found abandoned near a small highway stop in Nevada, hundreds of miles from their home in Colorado Springs. Nothing inside the car looked disturbed, but there was no trace of where she went next. It was like she had disappeared into thin air. David tried to shield Lily from the worst of it. He didn't want her to worry, didn't want her to feel the weight of the unknown the way he did. So he played along. He nodded every time she said her mother would return. He said yes when she asked to draw more pictures for Emily, placing them carefully on the fridge. And he read her bedtime stories each night, skipping the sad parts, replacing them with happier endings. But in private, David was breaking. The days turned into weeks, and the routine began to wear on him. He would wake up, make breakfast, take Lily to school, pick her up, help with homework, cook dinner, and then try to sleep, only to lie awake staring at the ceiling. He couldn't stop replaying the last conversation they had before Emily vanished. They had argued. Not screaming, not yelling, just a tense, quiet disagreement about money, about how distant she had become lately, about how he didn't seem to understand what she was going through. He remembered her eyes that night, tired, almost defeated. And then the next morning she was gone.
"Dad."
Lily's voice snapped him out of the memory. "Yes, honey? Can we make the pumpkin pie now? You promised we'd do it after lunch." He nodded and got up, stretching his aching limbs. "Of course. Let's get the recipe book." In the kitchen, they worked together side by side. Lily measured the ingredients with a level of seriousness that made David smile despite everything. Flour dusted the counter, and cinnamon filled the air. For a brief moment, everything felt normal. Just a father and daughter baking pie. As the pie baked, Lily climbed into David's lap with a coloring book. She flipped through the pages and began coloring a picture of a house with a bright yellow sun above it. "This is our house," she said, carefully choosing colors. "And this is you and me. And that," she added, drawing a stick figure in a purple dress, "is Mom." David swallowed the lump in his throat. "That's beautiful, Lily." "She's just taking a long trip," she said, not looking up. "Sometimes people need that. But she's coming back." He wanted to believe her. He really did. One night, a week before Thanksgiving, David found himself on the back porch with a blanket wrapped around his shoulders and a cup of tea in his hands. The stars were bright, and the night was crisp. His phone buzzed beside him. It was Emily's sister, Sarah. "I heard from someone," she said without waiting for hello. "An old friend of Emily's called me. She said Emily showed up at a shelter in Santa Fe 2 weeks ago." David stood up so quickly the tea spilled onto the wooden boards. "What? Why didn't they say anything?" "She didn't stay long. She left before they could convince her to contact us. They said she looked rough. Tired. Not herself." David's heart pounded. "Did she say why she left?"
"No."
"Just that she needed time." After the call ended, David sat down, breathless. She was alive. She was out there. And maybe, just maybe, she was trying to find her way back. The next day, he sat Lily down. "Sweetheart," he said gently, "I think Mom is trying to come home." Lily beamed. "I told you." David smiled. "You did." The following weeks were filled with a new kind of hope. David called every shelter and support center in the area Emily was last seen. Some had no information. Others promised to keep an eye out. He even took a weekend trip to Santa Fe, while Lily stayed with Sarah. He handed out flyers, visited churches, walked the streets where she might have been. No luck. But he didn't give up. He couldn't. Christmas was approaching, and with it came a wave of bittersweet memories. David decorated the house for Lily, stringing up lights, putting up the tree. Lily hung a special ornament near the top, a little silver heart with Mom engraved on it. She kissed it before stepping down from the ladder. "She'll be here for Christmas," she whispered. On Christmas morning, they opened presents under the tree. Lily unwrapped a new set of paints and immediately began working on a portrait of their family. David watched her, amazed at her resilience, her faith. And then the doorbell rang. David froze. His mind raced. Maybe it was Sarah dropping off a gift. Or a neighbor. Or... He opened the door, and there she was. Emily stood on the porch, bundled in an old coat, hair a bit shorter, eyes tired, but unmistakably her. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Lily ran past David and threw her arms around her mother. "I knew you'd come," she cried. "I told Dad." Emily knelt down, holding her daughter tightly. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I missed you so much, baby." David's voice shook. She looked up at him. "I'm sorry, David. I needed help. I didn't know how to ask for it." He nodded slowly, his own tears falling freely now. "You're home. That's all that matters." They brought her inside, and the warmth of the house wrapped around her like a long-lost memory. She looked around at the tree, the decorations, the photos on the wall. Then she saw the pie Lily had baked with David's help, still sitting in the fridge, untouched since Thanksgiving. That evening, they sat together on the couch, Lily nestled between them, her head on her mother's lap. Emily told them bits and pieces of what had happened. The panic attacks, the feeling of drowning, the guilt of not being enough. She'd checked into a treatment center after Santa Fe. She was still in recovery, but she was getting better. David listened without judgment. He reached out and held her hand. "We'll get through this together," he said. She nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for not giving up on me." Lily stirred in her sleep, murmuring softly, "Told you, Dad. Mom will come soon."